And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Welcome to Open Connection. I'm your host, Robert Pictou. Our show today comes to you from the traditional and unceded territory of the Tsimshian people. Gambling problems can happen to anyone from any walk of life. Your gambling goes from a fun, harmless diversion to an unhealthy obsession with serious consequences. Whether you bet on sports, scratch cards, roulette, poker, or slots, or in a casino, at the track, or online, a gambling problem can strain your relationships, interfere with work, and lead to financial disaster. On today's Open Connection, we open our archives to bring you this story from 2002.
In the recent few months, the concept of gambling has been brought to the forefront in the Terrace community. The manager of the Best Western Terrace Inn, John Georgilis, has been seeking to build a casino once again. At the beginning of January of this year, Georgilis was hoping to build a destination casino and conference center that he says would cost around $8 million and generate several millions into the local economy. But as time went on, an announcement from the provincial government brought that to an end.
The ministry responsible for gaming has indicated that they would no longer approve destination casinos and that the community casino licenses that were outstanding would only be reallocated. Now that's to the best information we've received today.
The proposal of a casino coming to the Terrace area brought on mixed reactions from the city councillors. Some say it would help boost the economy, while others said the negative social impact would outweigh the benefits.
Morally couldn't support it, and I don't think it's good for the economy of the community or for the health and social well-being of the community.
I'm very surprised that the number of gambling addicts actually are as small as they are. It's really less than 1% of the population, and of that, 1.7 have a problem. 1.7 may later on have a risk. So when you think of 12,000 people and you start talking about 1%, it really does put things in perspective, because if we had that kind of money in the community, we would be able to add funds to the addiction programs for all type of addiction.
Those working with people who have gambling problems in the Northwest say they already see frequent use of its services and that more gambling outlets in the area will only promote more problems.
What we do have reflected is not so much statistics, but inquiries, people approaching us in education, prevention settings, surveys being answered, and what we get reflected back to us is, for a segment of the population, it's a huge problem. It's growing as more gambling venues are available.
A video put out by the provincial government a few years ago titled Balance, Problem Gambling Awareness addresses gambling and the First Nations community and recognizes its cultural tie.
Some of the people around the province got together and, a little bit of strategizing what would be useful, a poster campaign, a video, what sort of things. And it was settled on that because it is fairly new, that, not so much a video pointing out that you shouldn't gamble or what the pitfalls are, okay, but a video that would have a soft approach in raising awareness and having people think about how you might gamble safely if you're going to gamble at all.
Macquarie says numbers of people accessing the addiction service groups reflect that gambling is a problem in the community.
Most of the feedback we've got has been very positive. We've actually had Aboriginal groups from around North and South America, New Zealand, Australia, want to access the video because, again, it goes back to looking at traditional cultures and values as opposed to what gambling means now, individual gain with very little interaction amongst family members and community.
The hope to build a casino was once again resurrected by Georgilis in late January, and it calls for a $6 million community casino, employing about 150 people. Georgilis says the city of Terrace would get 10% of the revenues from the casino, worth about $950,000 a year, less than the first proposed destination casino. Concerns over whether the boost to the economy is really worth it in this capacity continues to be raised.
If it's approved, I definitely see people spending all of their money. What with our mill being closed down, what with government employees losing their jobs, Our community just isn't capable of handling that right now. There's too many people that are down on their luck and going in there and wanting to get that big jackpot, and unfortunately it doesn't happen, and they're just going to be more hard on their luck.
Gambling awareness was brought into classrooms in Terrace last November. A poster campaign saw elementary students using their creativity to get the message out.
And I don't think as adults we give the kids enough credit for their level of awareness of what's going on in their environment around them. And very important to note that environment plays a large part, and is the community the kids are growing up in, what is the attitudes towards gambling? Is it very laid back, or does it promote healthy gambling, making healthy choices around the type of gambling and how much gambling you're going to do? So very important what the community environment is.
Last week, Terrace City Council said it would set aside up to 2 days to hear the public's opinion on whether the city should change its bylaw to welcome a casino. Also at the meeting, a Terrace resident raised more concerns.
Well, I think you're opening a Pandora's box if you want to bring in a gambling casino, because they are known to bring about all kinds of social and financial problems. We know from BC Lottery Corporation, their study, that the lifetime prevalent rate of problem and probable pathological gamblers is 7.8% of the population from age 18 and up. This in itself indicates that having a casino here and over a period of time is going to give us hundreds of cases of problem and pathological gamblers.
Council is making it clear this bylaw being reviewed is not attached to any specific property. March 20th and 21st are tentatively scheduled for the public hearings that will listen to more comments on whether or not the idea of a casino coming to the community is a good idea. Georgillis is still hopeful a casino in Terrace is possible.
If people recognize how many new business is going to bring to the city, then I think we have a lot of support from the people.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Thanks for staying with us. The rain only stopped for 1 day in 3 months during the summer of 2020 in Prince Rupert. According to Environment Canada, a total of 800 millimeters of wet stuff pelted Prince Rupert in that time period. Let us return to the archives to discover why a South African family decided to move to Prince Rupert.
The Vivier family has once again been told by Immigration Canada that it can't make this country its home, even though it has produced mounds of evidence proving that 3 of them suffer from a rare disease called porphyria, which causes severe reactions to hot sunlight. The immigration officer handling the Vivier's file was not even convinced that their youngest daughter has a rare strain of the disease, which was documented in a university study.
It does not specifically mention Heloise. It does note that an 11-year-old subject was used, and there is an acknowledgement thanking Mrs. Vivier at the end of that report. And then there's also a handwritten note, again confirming thank yous for Heloise's participation. And in the decision, the officer states that it's probable that Heloise was the subject of that report, but it's not conclusive.
I have also very good news that our scientific article about the gene defect that was found in Heloise was published. What more proof to prove that this girl is Heloise? She describes in the medical study that the severe symptoms. This was a case that was brought under the university's attention by me because I even couldn't understand the fact that Heloise was so severe.
So what went wrong? The Vivier's lawyer, Catherine Sass, says a lot of the problem stems from the weighing of evidence.
There's evidence that hasn't been, in my view, properly considered, and the officer appears, in my view, to be using the wrong standard, basically beyond reasonable doubt. She wants conclusive evidence about the nature of what this family suffers, even though we have considerable medical reports specific to the family and the individual family members, and then general to the illnesses itself as well.
Their children are the main reason why John and Maggie made the move to the cooler and usually grayer climate of Prince Rupert. Back in South Africa, the children spent their days locked up inside the house. For the past 3 years, life has been a lot different for Eloise.
I have friends now. I didn't have friends. I have dancing. Everything is lovely here.
I only want to live a normal life. And she's refusing us to live a normal life. She says it's fine to take 2 kids back to a land where it's very hot. And you can ask any South African, they will say it. And it's fine by her to lock them up. They're not criminals. They didn't do anything wrong. They were just born with a genetic disorder. But it's fine to lock them up inside a house because there's no way they can live a normal life like they've been living here for the last 3 years.
Family says that it wants to work to help pay its own way, but Immigration Canada has told them no. Since they have been unable to go out and make a living, the Viviers say they've had to survive off of their own resources and donations from the community, and have not been a burden on the system.
We're not on welfare. All of this time we've been looking after ourselves. So we've proven that we are not a burden to society. We haven't even used the medical care system for any poverty-related problems.
There's an acknowledgement by the officer that the family is established and that the family is a very resourceful family. This is another example where I found it rather ironic that the family is resourceful enough to go back and resettle in South Africa, but not resourceful enough for the purpose of being the basis for allowing them to remain in Canada.
Since the news first broke about the Viviers' plight, a letter-writing and fax campaign has been launched on the local level to try and get the attention of the federal immigration minister. In the meantime, their lawyer is going back to the courts to get a judicial review of the file.
Obviously, we need to canvass this fully with the family. The family has now been here for almost 3 years. Until we have a positive determination from the immigration officer on the application, the family's not eligible for work authorizations and they're not eligible to go to school. So the community of Prince Rupert continues to support this family financially, and the children are not being educated in a formal school setting, which obviously is problematic. But I guess you have to ask yourself as a parent, which is more problematic, your children facing the risk of death or your children not having their education.
So
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Welcome back to Open Connection. Established in 1977 by the provincial government under the Societies Act, the original mandate of the BC Summer and Winter Games Society was to provide opportunity for all British Columbians to compete in an organized sports festival that promoted physical fitness, individual achievement, and community pride. Let us return to the archives with Ashley Pelletier.
To look at her, you'd never guess it's her first Winter Games, and you really wouldn't think it's her very first meet ever. Ashley Pelletier embodies the spirit of the Winter Games.
She's great. She's got a great attitude. Like you show her something and you teach her something, and she's like, "Yeah, I'll try that. Yeah, okay." And she works at it, and she goes to it, and you just see it on the routines, like on her beam routines or vaults. And you ask her to do something, you show her how to do it, and she works at it, and she goes for it.
The Northern BC Winter Games are a huge event and no doubt daunting for a beginner, but Ashley's been doing gymnastics since she was 2 years old. What kind of gymnastics can you do when you're 2?
I know. My mom said that when I was a baby, I would sit in splints.
Gymnastics is a family affair. Here's Sister Nicole competing on the bar. She also started when she was 2. And here's Mom Suzette watching from the stands as her girls go through their paces. Make that their turns, walkovers, and cartwheels.
They're actually quite supportive. Yeah, I mean, they're typical sisters that they have their times, but they're very supportive of each other.
Gymnastics is split into a 2-day event at the Games. Day 1 is floor and bars. And on Saturday, Ashley is up early to compete in the balance beam and vault events. Competition starts at 7:30, and the girls are practicing for the beam routines right away. Then it's on to the beam for the real thing. At a young age, she knows where she wants to go. You've been doing gymnastics for a lot of years, but this is your first meet. Do you plan to stay in gymnastics and keep doing it?
And I want to go on the Olympics.
Really? That's very cool. Do you think you will?
I don't know. it's a lot of money, so and you'll have to miss some school.
Competitions like this are a chance not only to compete in gymnastics, but to gain life experiences, like staying in a billet home.
I've stayed at other people's house before, but staying at somebody's house that I don't know, it's kind of fun to get to know other people.
Hopefully they're doing it because they're having fun. That they get to see what other competition is out there. They get to meet other people.
From the very beginning, she's looking at it with her attitude the right side up and learning that if at first you don't succeed, try again. Her mom says the sport brings balance to her daughters' lives.
They learn a lot of skills and a lot of they do well in school because of it. I think they stay out of trouble. They're more focused. They learn how to focus and be very They're learning better, I think.
Behind every athlete, there is a team essential to participation and success. At this level, that means coaches and parents.
Well, I think it wouldn't be possible for us to be here if we didn't have a great parent support group and like our club. The parents are wonderful. They do a lot of fundraising and help out with the club and everything.
What can you tell me about your coaches? Besides, they're sitting right behind me.
They're really good. They told me to say, Annie and Chris are the best.
Ashley says she'd like to be in the Olympics one day. Are you ready for that?
I don't know. I'll be the one crying in the corner. It would be neat, though. I mean, that's what she wants. Go for it.
I hope all of them would like to be in the Olympics someday. That'd be kind of neat. It'd be kind of like, wow, I used to coach these guys, but you can never tell. It's the kids just. I think they do it because they enjoy it. If they didn't enjoy it, they wouldn't put in the time. They're in the gym probably 6-7 hours a week, if not more.
Ashley does very well for her first meet. She ties for 4th in beams and achieves 5th in bars, gold in vault, and bronzes in both the floor and overall. Maybe the best reward, though, after your first Winter Games, first meet, and the possible beginning of a long career, is the satisfaction of a job well done, the confidence that you've made your teammates and coaches proud, and a hug and kiss from Mom. Well, if you're going to be on TV, maybe the kiss is a little much.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
The BC Games were originally a vision of Premier W.R. Bennett, who believed in providing an opportunity to bring all parts of BC together, large and small communities, in the spirit of sport and friendship. In this final segment of Open Connection, we return to the archives when Smithers hosted the BC Winter Games.
The Northern BC Winter Games, somewhat of a long way from the Olympics, but not in some athletes' minds, and there are many similarities. Both the Olympics and the Northern Games have athletes in a number of events traveling from different locations who share pretty common hopes and dreams.
I would like to travel I like to go lots of places. I don't really care. I don't know.
I had to win 2 tournaments to get here because my wrestling coach told me if I win 2 tournaments in first place, then I go to Winter Games, and I tried my hardest. But I already had 1 match already and I lost.
This is a sport game. It's a sporting activity that your kids are in. Very few are going to attain the highest level. I'm in it not to produce champions, but to teach gymnastics. That's what I do. But athletes, of course, all have aspirations of going all the way or being on TV.
My ultimate goal is to get a gold medal in the Olympics one day. Because it's just like the Olympics, because people are watching you and you're competing against people, and it's pretty much the same except smaller.
I'll come to get my medal, my gold medal.
What?
In wrestling.
Some athletes arrived at the 2002 Northern BC Winter Games for different reasons. As with every sport, there are different aspects these athletes must focus on. In hockey, for example, the players come to play as a team, to communicate with one another, and to work collectively to reach their ultimate goal. A perfect example of admirable sportsmanship is the Kitimat women's hockey team. The team shares a friendship bond that makes it easier for them to communicate on the ice, and in turn makes it easier for them to reach for the gold. And at this Winter Games, they were able to grab it and take it home with them.
Just work as a team, learn in sportsmanship excellency, to do just to improve my skills, to represent Kitimat, just to have fun in total.
When I say go, you say fight, go, fight, go, fight. When I say win, you say night, west, west, west. When I say boogie, you say down, boogie, down, boogie, down. Go fight, good night, boogie, down.
Whether it be gymnastics, wrestling, or hockey, all of these athletes at the 2002 Northern BC Winter Games have goals and aspirations. But the desire to succeed has to come from within the athlete, not from an outlying origin.
All parents have aspirations that their child is going to the Olympics in our sport, or they're going to play NHL hockey, or they're going to play NFL or CFL, NBA. Every parent has those aspirations, but you cannot, I do not believe that a child is going to attain the top if the drive comes from the exterior.
And many athletes do draw inspiration from having the opportunity to participate in these types of larger scale competitions, as it is obviously much larger than any sort of local competitive event. Although not all of the athletes here say they want to make it to the Olympics, each one does know how far they want to take what they're involved in.
I think I might try going to the Olympics.
Yeah, I want to.
You do? How come?
I don't know, just having a thought of bringing back a gold medal to Canada would be cool.
I think how I do this year is going to decide that for me. I'm going to apply at the Universities of Wrestling, and then I'll decide whether or not I want to wrestle.
I would like to, but I don't know if I would get that far.
Why?
I don't know. I might not be good enough, but I don't know yet.
I think
A crowd of almost 20 people came out to witness the ceremony. The new totem pole, which was built by student Eric McPherson, has been placed in the Crest Hotel's front lobby.
It was intended to be a school project, and I spent about 2 months, a little better than 2 months carving it. So, and then after the carving, we obviously needed to find a home, and Steve helped us with that.
The totem pole, which sold for $3,600, caught the buyer's eye at a native art symposium held in the city just a few weeks ago.
And what interested me in this pole the most was the fact that it was a Simpson mythology, and the original story was documented in 1902, long before Prince Rupert was had evolved. Well, they hadn't even, there's nothing here. And it tied in Kassam because Eric was carving in Kassam at the time his pole was done.
The totem recounts Tsimshian mythology and depicts the story based on the 1902 recorded text of Henry W. Tate of Port Simpson. It's titled The Hunter's Wife Who Became a Beaver. Rob Cooper, First News, Prince Rupert.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Open Connection. The greatest distance in the existence of man is not from here to there, but the connection from his mind and heart. If we can conquer that distance, we can soar like an eagle and realize our immensity within. I'm Robert Pictou.